Hey guys, I'm Dimension Jump, and today I'll be reviewing The End of Zoe, which is part of the Resident Evil 7 Biohazard DLC, which was released back on the 12th of December of 2017. Now, this is like an ongoing part of the Resident Evil Biohazard game, but this time instead of focusing on the Baker family, or it does focus on the Baker family, but instead of being like a sort of prologue, like in the Daughters DLC or in Not a Hero, where that focuses on Chris Redfield and Blue Umbrella. This focuses on one of the last, or an unknown person from the Baker family, and that is Zoe's uncle. I don't 100% remember his name. It has been a while since I've played the DLC, but it's basically. I think I've forgotten his name anyway. But in the main story of the DLC is that Zoe's uncle finds Zoe, who has recently kind of been mollified, because she's like in this weird state of being half molded, being half mold, half somewhat conscious, and it's up to him to find a cure. And he finds out from one of the Blue Umbrella soldiers that there's a way to cure her. And he basically had to go around and just get the cure, find the cure, bring it back to Zoe, and basically cure her. And this one is, in terms of gameplay wise, it's very different and very weird to when you compare it to Not a Hero and the main game of Biohazard, because with those parts of the game, they are mainly makes you focus using on guns and stuff. But with not End of Zoe, it focuses on you using your fists, and you don't really expect that in Resident Evil, unless it's like Chris Redfield punching a boulder. Unless it's that, you don't really normally see that in Resident Evil games. A lot of the time, it's just you find infected area filled with zombies, then basically just shoot them until they hit the ground. There's basically a lot of Resident Evil games, just zombies, fight the zombies, and yeah, and it's not normally just punch a zombie or use a throwing spear, which you can also use in the game. Like this and I cannot tell you how weird End of Zoe is in terms of how the game plays, and I do enjoy it. I think it's a nice continuation of the end of Biohazard and what happens to Zoe after the events of the main game, and yeah, it's just very weird, and it's nice and interesting, and yeah, and now I'm gonna show you some gameplay. So, at the end of Zoe, it's very different from the different from Not a Hero and the main game, because you basically just have to use your fists, and it's kind of like you basically have to like try and get used to like the combat. It's like with Not a Hero and End of Zoe, you basically have to rely on guns, and with this you basically just got your fists, and you can use like throwing weapons and stuff. I think, yeah, I've got one, yeah. So yeah, and like with like, you know, a lot of the other things, like, you know, the guns, well, there's only like limited amount of stuff, and you can also craft the spears as well, so they're useful. But like it's very different, and it's kind of like somewhat it's easy to get used to, but like you'd like really like focus on like we really focus on getting used to it, and it takes a lot longer to fight certain enemies than it does when you combine it. Well, if you compare it to the main game, because a lot of stuff normally takes about 2 to 3 hits, 4 at best. But this just takes a whole lot longer, and it's just a lot of this, and it's just fun. It is fun. It's very different. It's very fun and very different. Like when you compare it to because Joe, I think it's Joe, the main character for this DLC, it is very different when you compare him to Ethan and Chris, because with Chris, he's more of a military guy, whereas with Ethan, he was just trying to survive. And Joe, he's just trying to save his family. And, well, that being Zoe. And it's interesting to see, the different, all 3 different characters doing something to save, or save or protect, the world, with Ethan and Joe, they're trying to either find or save one of their family members, and with Chris, he's kind of trying to protect the world from Lucas. So that's kind of it. How the whole gameplay works for End of Zoe. So that's been enough for the gameplay. Now to go back to the review. So overall, I would say that End of Zoe is a nice conclusion to the Baker family, and you could say the same with Not a Hero, because as a whole, I would say both Not a Hero and End of Zoe is a nice way of finishing off the Baker's story, because I see from my perspective, I see that Resident Evil Biohazard is not only Ethan's story, but also the Baker's story. With Ethan, he's basically trying to find his wife, Mia, and then you've got the Bakers, who unfortunately became the victims of Evelyn and her mold powers, and how they became affected and were just victims of Evelyn because she's a biohazard or bioweapon. I believe. I think she's called a bioweapon, and they're just victims in this whole mess. And I do like how at the end of the story just closes it off, as well as Not a Hero, and this just ends the Baker family story. And yeah, it's a nice bit of DLC. I do enjoy it. I think it's very different when you compare it to Not a Hero and the main Biohazard game. You've also got the Daughters DLC, which feels the same way with End of Zoe when comparing it to the other games or to the main game and Not a Hero, gameplay wise. And yeah, it's just something very interesting to do, and it's just a nice bit of DLC. So yeah. So that's been my review for End of Zoe. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and see you in the next video.